أتاني مرة نزق ليسألني بما دنت، فقلت له أنا رجل أحب الله يا أنت، أتسأل كيف منهاجي أما بالحق آمنت، عباد الله إخواني فكن منهم إذا شئت، وكن معنا على حذر من التفريق إن صنت.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. ثم أما بعد, I bear witness there's no one worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the last and final messenger. There be no messengers after him, and we send our blessings and salutations upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And at the same time we thank the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala ajma'een. Wallahi, my brothers and sisters, if it wasn't for the Sahaba, me and you wouldn't have enjoyed this religion the way we do it today. So today, the topic for today is, I want to speak about the teenage and the adolescent years of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life. And it's very important to understand there are many narrations which has been quoted in regards to the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam prior to the revelation. But most of these narrations are not very close to authentic, and today we are going to talk about 4 or 5 of different events that happened, and something when he was a teenager. And also we need to understand, because no one knew about the greatness of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam prior to that. Once the revelation started coming down, people started seeing his miracles. It's not to say that nothing was happening in the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Miracles were happening in his life. His life was full of miracles, which you will probably listen to some of that today, and some of that you probably already know about his life. Also, I will also tackle a question from a brother today, because he asked me about Banu Qurayza. Banu Qurayza is a very touchy topic, and a lot of people like to bring this and they want to talk about and criticize Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way that tribe was treated. And some of you, if you don't know, there were 3 tribes in Medina, and predominantly these 3 tribes were the Jewish tribes. That was Banu Nadir, Banu Qaynuqa, and Banu Qurayza. And Banu Qurayza is actually the last tribe to be expelled. And there was reasons for it. And I will actually talk about those reasons today, inshallah. Also, diving deep into the topic, inshallah, the time that I have, and I always go over time, but today, inshallah, I'll keep it short and sweet. So, I got someone laughing in the background already. So, very quickly, we need to understand when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was being raised as an orphan, there was reasons behind that. One of the wisdom that ulama gave, so that he could love, that he could understand, he could have empathy with the people around him. And if you see, a lot of people that came early to Islam, they were the ones who were distressed. Bilal radiallahu anhu, and we have Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. All these Sahabas, predominantly, most of these Sahabas were distressed, had no family members. And so Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being raised as an orphan, would totally understand how an orphan feels. Me and you, we can sit down over here and talk about the people that are dying overseas and the Muslims, because we cannot empathize with them. We can have sympathy for them. Because me and you, we haven't lived a life which is a difficult life. And that difficult life, whenever we hear about it, some tears come down our, roll down our eyes, and then we feel the sympathy for those people. But we can never understand their pain until we were in that situation. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was raised in that situation. Why? Because he was able to understand what they were going through. So very quickly, when he was born, did not have a father. And because of the culture of the Arabs, he was shipped out to Banu Sa'd, which is Halima Sa'diyah. She comes and she takes him. 2.5 years of his life he spends in the desert. He comes back, he starts living with his mother. Mother passes away at the age of 6. Very difficult life. Someone does not have a mother or father. He's on the mercy of the relatives now. What happens? The grandfather takes him in. 2 years, by the age of 8, again on the mercy of his uncles. And today, another thing the kids can also know, that Abu Talib was his blood uncle. So Abu Talib was from the same mother, or where Abdullah and Abu Talib were from the same mother. So they were first brothers, they were blood brothers. And his uncles Hamza and Abu Lahab and Al-Abbas, they were not blood brothers of Abdullah. They were from another wife of Abu Talib, and they were his step uncles. So it made more sense for Abu Talib to take him in. And that's why Abu Talib, the scholars say, he was the one who showed a lot of love towards him. Abdul Muttalib had 10 sons. And we know that through the series. And he also had 4 daughters as well. But he did not have it from one wife. There was 4 wives. And Abdullah and Abu Talib was from one wife. And so he had other 3 wives and he had other children with them. And Al-Abbas is not the first brother or the blood brother of Hamza. He's not related to Hamza. Hamza's from another mother. And also Abu Lahab's from another mother as well. So they are all brothers. They're all from the same father, which is Abdul Muttalib. And the children can also, if I was to ask any child, what was the real name of Abdul Muttalib? Does anyone know the real name of Abdul Muttalib? His real name was Shayba. His name was Shayba. Why? Because he was born with a white streak in his hair. And the Arabs, the Shayba, the word is for older age or for maturity. When he was born, that's why his father named him Hashim. His father named him, even his father's name was not Hashim. His father's name was Amr. Hashim was his name. Why? Because he used to mix meat and bread and water together to serve the Hujjaj. That process is called Hashim. And that's why they used to call him Hashim. And so Hashim's son Shayba was coming back with the brother of Amr. Hashim, we'll keep it simple because you guys could probably get confused. So it's coming back with Abdul Muttalib. And when, it's coming back to Muttalib, and they looked at Shayba and they said, because the Arabs were in the practice of getting slaves. So they said, oh, Muttalib got us new slaves, so they called him Abdul Muttalib. And it was a young, so Abdul Muttalib, his grandfather's name started happening from there. Prior to that, his name was Shayba. And he was born in Medina, and he was born on a journey while Hashim was going to the journey to Shaam, which you all know of the surah in the Quran, لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed Quraysh, and they would go and they would do these journeys. And their journeys were in the winter, they would go to South Yemen because Yemen was hot. And even in the winter, it did not make much of a difference. And they would go in the summer to Shaam. Shaam is very cold. If you come from those regions, it can get very cold. So Shaam in today, the children don't know, it's not Syria, it's Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine. And which we probably look at the map today, don't want to say the I word, sounds like a swear word, but Palestine is a simple clarification. So these are the 4 countries which are part of that region. And that was Shaam. So Muhammad SAW is now being raised up in his uncle's house, Abu Talib. Abu Talib is, a very generous man, very nice man. And towards the start, when he took Muhammad SAW in his house, he would call him Ibni. Ibni means my son, so he would call him like that. And he would love him, show a lot of affection to him. Now there was a time that came that the Quraysh, as I said, they would go on these journeys. So now he was preparing to go on a journey. Muhammad SAW, a 12-year-old kid. And again, this narration which I'm about to say, the ulama and the muhaddithin have come to an agreement. This narration there is no problem with this narration. But the problem is with the matan of the narration. It's the content of the narration. Why? Because you will find out towards the end, which I'm going to tell you now, after meeting the monk, Abu Talib decides to send Muhammad SAW back with Abu Bakr Siddiq and Bilal. So if you look at that, Bilal was very younger to Muhammad SAW. And if Abu Talib is deciding to send him back with Bilal, and Bilal again, we don't even know if he's taken as a slave by Umayyah ibn Khalif or not. And Abu Bakr Siddiq is 2.5 years younger to Rasulullah. Why would they send someone with Abu Bakr Siddiq to come back with a 10-year-old kid to take him back to Makkah? So the narration, the muhaddithin, when they look at the Adalat al-Ruwat are the rawis, the ones who are mentioning the hadith, they're all are thiqah. But when it comes to the content towards the end, that's the problem, which I've already told you. This is the problem, which a lot of muhaddithin don't agree with this. So back and forth, Muhammad SAW, as a little kid, you have little children in your house. They want to go in the ride in the car with you, and you're saying we're going to work, but the children come run, they cling on you, they want to go with you. It's like Muhammad SAW is a child, he wants to go, and eventually Abu Talib gives in and he takes him. So now they're traveling, they will pass a town, Busra. Busra is a place which is close to when they're going towards the region of Shaam, but it's just outside the borders. So while they're passing, they decide to take a rest. Buhaira is the monk, and that's the story. So Buhaira is the monk who is watching the people. He looks at a lot of caravans come and go, and he's outside his monastery, he's watching caravans come and go, and he pays attention on a caravan which is coming. It has a cloud right on top of its head. And the caravan is actually followed by a cloud, and that cloud is shading that caravan. So Buhaira is excited. He wants to know what's happening. He's looking at all these caravans. He's been in this monastery for years. He's never seen a cloud follow any caravan. It's a hot day. And so he's amazed. He's now thinking that it may be, now he starts thinking of his books, that there will be a prophet that will come out in Arabia, and all these thoughts are coming in his head. So he decides to go and check who is in this caravan, and he tells one of his people, one of the other monks, to actually go and to find out tell all these people to come and eat with them. So he invites them to come and eat with them, and they can have meal. So when another point before we get into this point, one of the things Quran mentions, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word rahbaniyya, and the word which is mentioned in Surah Hadid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ayah is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions is, وَرَحْبَانِيَّةً ابْتَدَعُوهَا مَا كَتَبْنَا مَا عَلَيْهَا إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ رِضْوَانِ اللَّهِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that rahbaniyya or rahib is the word, the Arabic word for monk, is not the lifestyle that we selected for you. It's not the lifestyle that we selected so you can please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you look at that, monk is a lifestyle. Anyone can be a monk and be faithful to Allah. The real monk, the real believer, real mu'min is the one who lives in the dunya and he remembers Allah. He takes time out for the deen. He also takes time out for the dunya and for everything else. That's a real person. A monk can just live in a monastery and could barricade himself from the dunya, and he could live that life and no harm would come to him. And they were living this life. So you still have, the monk is not just a word which is used for Buddhist. You have monks in Jewish religion as well. Monk is someone who dissipates his life. It's like, in Catholicism, you've got the father who does not marry. So that's the life of where you try to celibacy, where you try to actually replicate Jesus. That's what they do. Because Jesus was not married, so we're not going to get married, we're going to live like that. So this is a Christian monk, his name is Buhaira, as I mentioned. So he invites everyone. Now Buhaira sits down and he starts looking at these people. And he finds nothing special about them. Everyone is eating, they're mentioning the name Billati or Bil Uzza, and they're mentioning the names of the idol. No one says the name of Allah. And even while they have to take an oath, while they're talking to others, they take it by the name of Billat or Bil Uzza. And now Bahira's not pleased. Bahira's like, how can it be a cloud was following and none of these people show those signs? And he says to the people, did you leave anyone behind? And they say, no, the first one says, no, we haven't left anyone behind. And the second one says, where is that little kid, Muhammad? And the third one says, did you leave the little kid behind? How bad are you? That you should have brought the little kid with you. And they tell someone to go and bring the little kid. And that was Muhammad SAW. Because they didn't want to go in the monastery and leave their goods behind. They wanted someone to go and guard them. So they decided to leave Muhammad SAW outside. So when Muhammad SAW comes in, now Buhaira starts looking at this kid very closely. He looks at him when he's about to eat. He says, Bismillah. And he's amazed. He's like, no one over here said Bismillah. They all mentioned the names of the idols and everyone. Now Buhaira is fascinated. And he says that Sa'altuka billati wa bil uzza, that I want to ask you a question in the name of Lat and Uzza. And Muhammad SAW gets very angry. A 12-year-old kid, face turns red, and he says, do not ask me by the names of Lat and Uzza. Wallahi, they're the most hated to me. I hate them the most. And then Buhaira is happy inside. And he says, I ask you by the one who you believe. He says, I believe in one God. And he says, I ask you by that one God. Tell me about yourself. And he starts telling him. And so they start having conversation. All right, tell me about your dreams. And he starts asking about the dreams. And he's getting more excited and excited. And then he says, that is your name Muhammad? And he says, yes, my name is Muhammad. And in Deuteronomy, the book of the Old Testament, it actually mentions the name by name of a prophet that will be coming. So these Christians knew about these things, that there will be a Nabi that will be coming in the time. And so he's asking him, okay, tell me more things about you. And he's getting more happier on every answer that he gets. He's asking about the dream, he's asking about his family, and then after he's asked everything, he says, who have you come with? And he says, I've come with, that's my uncle over there. And this, sorry, it does not say uncle, but he points at Abu Talib. And Buhaira goes to Abu Talib and he says, who is this kid to you? And he says, that's my son. And Buhaira says, no way. He cannot be your son. He says, no, that's my son. He says, no, tell me the truth. Is this your son? And he says, no, he's not my son, but I call him my son. Now Buhaira's happy. He says, in our books, it is mentioned, the man who will come, he will be an orphan. His name will be Muhammad. He will always believe in Allah, no matter what he's surrounded by. And then he says, there's one more sign, I want to look at it, and after that, I will be convinced. And he says to Abu Talib, if you allow me, and your nephew allows me, am I allowed to tell him to remove his shirt? I just want to see at the back that if he's got a seal. Even it's mentioned in that Muhammad SAW would come with the seal of Nabuwa. And it's called Khatam al-Nabuwa. So Khatam is a word which is used as a seal as well, it's used to end as well. There's many meanings for this word, but this was the seal. When he lifted it up, so if you have read Shama'il al-Tirmidhi, which I'm not going to be going in more detail today, but in Shama'il al-Tirmidhi it is mentioned that it's right in the middle of the shoulder and it's a little lump. It's a flesh that is just lifted from the skin and it's a little lump and it's got hair growing on it. And so that was a seal. Once he looks at that seal, now he's completely convinced. And he says, this is a prophet and I warn you not to go to the land of the Romans because the Romans know all these signs, and if they find out that the prophet is not from Bani Israel and is from the Arabs, they will try to harm him or even kill him. So don't go. Don't take this child, send him back. So I mentioned the last part of the story already. He was actually sent back, but that was a problem in the narration, that sending him back with Bilal and Abu Bakr did not make sense. If Abu Talib found this information, he would have made sure that he would have sent Muhammad, the one he loved like his son, with someone he trusted. So now, the second story that I wanted to bring in his life. Also, you need to also remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him from all sorts of, shirk, all sorts of shirk, because he was growing in that time. His similarity is very similar to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam was born in a house of the one who was the mastermind of creating the sculptures. And as a mastermind, he was actually the one who was the creator, who would create, and he was the one who would carve them, he was the one who would worship them. And Ibrahim challenged his father, and he said, what do you do? I mean, they do not benefit us. So it's amazing how Ibrahim's upbringing was very similar, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you know about the incident of Miraj, when they went up in the heavens, when Muhammad SAW went up, the highest level that was shown was Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he was leading to the Kaaba. And so the ulama say that was the rank. Allah, even in the house of Allah, Ibrahim rank is really high. And if you know the ranking of Ulul al-Azmi, the 5 most important prophets that Allah sent to this earth, Ibrahim is after Muhammad SAW. And the third is Musa, and the fourth is Isa, and the fifth is Noah, which is Noah alayhi salam. And so they all had a mission. And so now the second story, again, the kids sit over here, they'll probably relate to this story more. Abu Talib was a very poor person, did not have much money. See, the Arabs were more invested, not in businesses, they were more invested in honor. Everything about the Arabs of Quraysh was honor. They would even take money and borrow money to feed the Hujjaj. Why? Because it was more honorable for them. Why? Because we are the guardians of this place. And we're the guardians of Dar al-Nadwa. We're the guardians of Kiswa. We're the ones who changed that cloth. We're the guardians of the flag of Liwa. Liwa was a flag which was used for battles. There was a battle call. So there were the guardians for all those things. And in order to keep their pride and honor, they would take money, they would borrow money. Their lifestyle, if you look at them, the bulk of them were very poor people. Even Abdul Muttalib did not have much. It was some of the Quraysh that had a lot of money, like Khadija radiallahu anha and Walid ibn Mughira. These guys were really rich. They had a lot of money. Walid ibn Mughira was so rich that if it was the turn to change the cloth of the Kaaba, the Kiswa, he would do it alone that 1 year. And the other year, all the Quraysh would come together and they would change it. So Walid ibn Mughira was very rich, but he did not give that lifestyle to his children. Who were his children? Khalid ibn Walid, that was his son, who grew up in the desert, who had a difficult life. So he gave them difficult lives. Why? So they could, they were, at the same time, they could value money. Not like today, we have our children growing. If we have a great lifestyle, we make sure we make them lazy. We give them everything, even before they ask. And so this is what we've actually destroyed the curiosity of our child. In order to wait for the things, we have destroyed their patience. Children who are rich don't have patience. There's no second, opinion on that. If you are really rich and if you gave your child everything, what's next? He's not going to have patience. If you gave your child, when he just passed year 12, a Lamborghini, what are you going to give him next? Are you going to give him F-16 now to fly after that? You're not going to give him F-16 after that. So what you've done, you've actually given him a Lamborghini and you've destroyed his patience completely. And that's what parents do. Why? And it's fascinating. And year 12, because I work in a school, and just recently we've had a year 12 graduation. Because personally myself, I went from a very different system. I mean, personally myself in UK, the system is very different to you guys. and over here you graduate first and you give your exams later. I think that's a warped system. So even if you fail after that, you've got all the goodies now. So that's how graduation is done. I mean, graduation was supposed to be something you've achieved. And so in my school, as you guys know, it's a very affluent school, not to mention it, what if the principal is watching it? I'll tell you afterwards. So one of the boys got graduated, and his mum gave him a ribbon wrapped with an L plate on it, a Toyota Corolla 2019, a ribbon wrapped, which is probably not even driven. Only someone drove it to the school parking. What have you done? I mean, what has he achieved? That's the question. He hasn't even passed any exams yet. And you gave him a Corolla. Once he passed the exam, what are you going to give him? So really, this is how the system is, the system that we live in, where our kids have no patience. I mean, well, I don't know about these ones. I mean, personally, the ones I have in my own house, my own kids, I know they have no patience. I don't give them Lamborghinis, but still, they're struggling with patience. Our kids, the way they're growing, patience is something, it's an alien who's come from Mars and has gone back. And they're trying to find who that person was. They know what patience looks like, but they don't know what it is. So now, Muhammad SAW in this really, poor household of Abu Talib, he is a child. When the food is served, all the children of Abu Talib, and you probably know Abu Talib also had a lot of children. Not just Ali is not just his son. There's other children he had as well. So they all come as the food is served, they're poor. They all jump on the platter and they start eating. And Muhammad SAW has got such manners. He doesn't attack the plate. He waits for everyone to take their share. And if there's anything left, he takes it. And if there's nothing left, he goes to sleep. And Abu Talib watches this very closely. And he tells his servant to take some food out for Muhammad, because he does not fight for the food like the other kids. Because he sees when Muhammad SAW takes the food first, the food it does not finish, even if the kids jump on it. But if he does not take it, and he does not eat from that food, the food finishes. There's no barakah in that food. And so he closely monitors that. He knows there's something special about this child. See, I told him Muhammad SAW many special things. We didn't know till he became the prophet. That's when the other people, the historians, started writing about him. But his life was full of miracles. I mean, when he was born, 14 balconies collapsed in Iran, in Kisra, in his kingdom, in Persia. And what happened? They had a fire. The fire extinguished. What else happened? They had a sea, a little river, and that river was sunk in. And there was no water in that. And the king was amazed. He said, what happened? He said, a man is born, and that's a prophet. These are the soothsayers. They're telling him, a person is born, and within you and this kingdom will finish. 14 kings will come. And that are the 14 balconies. And the fire that extinguished that your religion that is famous will extinguish. There'll be no one to say that name. No one to say the name of your kingdom. And what will happen afterwards? The river that was sunk in, that there will be new, these people will come and they will take over your land. And who were they? That was Muhammad SAW. And he was born, and when it happened, the miracles happening throughout his life, throughout. Halima Sa'diyah, if you know that incident, that's not my topic, but what happened when she got him, the goat that she had was barren, did not give anything. It started milking. The donkey that she came on was frail, could not even walk properly. That went so fast that she even left the other people behind who actually had taken all the babies. And that was a miracle of this child. Ever since he was born, everyone, wherever he went, was seeing his miracles. Now, another narration of Rasulullah SAW. Why is that? Because they go on their own accord. If If it's a camel or a cow, it's easy. They go in herds. They just go. They don't have any vision. The sheep go everywhere. They go everywhere. And you can't make sheep eat at a fast pace. They will eat when they want to eat. They will walk when they want to walk. So a shepherd has a lot of patience. And that's why that was a way to teach the shepherd patience with his people. Not everyone's going to be on the same track. If you guys know anyone who grazes sheep, he can tell you it's very hard for the sheep to contain them and to keep them in one line. They all go at different paths. And so it gives them patience. Why? Because he's trying to gather those people as well. And that's one of the things of today. People who sit over here, the dawah of today is to deal with everyone with softness. We need that. We live in a country where we want to engage these kids with soft nature. The more harsher we are, the more we lose these people. I mean, there's more delicacies outside Islam than Christianity. Jesus died for your sins. What can you not do now? You can do everything because Jesus already died for your sins. So you can go clubbing, you can do whatever you like, because Jesus took the cop. I mean, he actually copped it because of your sins. That's what it is. And about the great religion, which is the most growing religion, which is no religion, where there is no God. You do whatever you like. I mean, when you look at today, really, I mean, no exaggeration, you guys know media really well. Some of the people that they come, it's mind-blowing what people come with. You've got talk shows, someone is sitting over there, oh, I was born in the wrong body. I should have been a girl. Who told you that? Or God actually put me in the wrong body. You're trying to say God did not know what he was doing, really. We've got these dilemmas that we live in the society. We've got, let alone, we've got people who are struggling, who are struggling with partnership, if they should be partnered with a man or a woman. But then we've got other people as well, they're struggling with their body as well. That I'm in the wrong body, so I need to change my body. It's a clear attack on God. All these, I mean, no religion is demeaning God. It's a clear attack on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who's making all the mistakes up there, and I am the one who should decide my life. Today we live in that society. It's all attractive. If we harsh to our kids, the kids will go there. I mean, if you look at us, I mean, if you showed someone, I mean, this is the best you could get. There's nothing attractive about this man. He's got a long beard. It doesn't even look attractive. Look at his clothes, not wearing Louis Vuitton. Well, what car does he drive? He hasn't even got a Lamborghini. He's not attractive. Do you want me to be like him? There's no attraction. So we need to make our religion, its attraction is from the heart. So we need to be soft on our kids, and we need to teach them in a way that they will love this religion, not to scare them. And that's with our families as well. Some people are on a high level of the religion where they understand everything. Some people have just started to come in the religion. We should adapt ourselves to them. So now the third point that I wanted to mention was about the sheep grazing. So Muhammad SAW, such a loyal man he took this as a responsibility to, help the family of Abu Talib when he grew up a little bit, and he started grazing sheep. He would get money for that. He had a partner as well. Darul Nadwa, remember this word, if you don't know it, don't worry. Darul Nadwa was like assembly. It was like the parliament of Quraysh. So maybe you can go actually read it as well. Darul Nadwa is from Banu Abd Dar. They were the custodians of Dar. Banu Abd Dar are the children of Qusay. Qusay is the real Quraysh. Qusay, everyone over here should know Muhammad SAW lineage all the way to Qusay. If you know all the way to Fihr, that's even better. And if you know all the way to Kinana, that's even better. That's about 16 grandfathers in there. But Qusay, there's only 5. So if you don't know it, I'll just make you remember it, inshallah, for the next time. So Qusay had 4 sons. So one was Abd Dar, one was Abd Shams, one was Abd Manaf, and one was Abd Qusay. So Abdul Dar was not a very famous son. So in order to give him popularity, Qusay barred all the other three sons and he gave him all the rights. He gave him the right of the Kaaba, he gave him the rights of the rights of the feeding and the siqah, the tree, serving water and everything. After that, the other three sons, when Abdul Dar died, so the father Qusay died and Abdul Dar also died. So they had a little tiff and they all were about to go on a war. And after that, they decided they will divide all these things. So Abdul Dar, it got Liwa and he got, which is the parliament, which is Darul Nadwa. So all the way, Qusay has a son, Abdul Manaf. Abdul Manaf has a son, Hashim. Hashim has a son, Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib has a son, Abdullah. And Abdullah has a son, Muhammad SAW. So that's how Qusay is related all the way to Muhammad SAW. So now he's grazing sheep, and in Darul Nadwa, it's a function hall. It's like a concert hall, sort of. In the night, it becomes a concert hall. So for marriages and other things, in the morning, it's a parliament. All the Arabs over there, they make decisions, and it's very close to the Kaaba as well, that vicinity as well. So in the night, Muhammad SAW, when he was growing up, he would hear about these activities that were happening. He's never seen it. So as like a teenager, everyone wants it, the curiosity kicks in, and he wants to see what's happening. So he says to his friend one night, why don't you look after the sheep, go down, and I'll see what happens. I just want to see you. I've never seen it. So the friend says, you know what, you can go. It's okay, I'll look after the sheep. It said Muhammad SAW came all the way down the hill, and he thought to himself, you know what, I'm just going to take some rest on this tree, and then I'll carry on and I'll see what's happening. So he comes all the way down the hill, he takes the rest at the tree, and he wakes up only with the sunlight piercing through his face and his eyes. And he wakes up and it's morning, everything is gone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him from that evil and he did not get to see it. But humans are always curious. The next thing again, when there was a next function, they heard the voice and they could hear. And in these functions, all these, people think that the Arabs were backward. What you're doing in Europe, Arabs already had done it 1400 years ago, and even years ago. They had nightclubs and whatnot, and the lifestyle of, adultery and whatnot, it was all prevalent in their society. And Muhammad SAW came to wipe that out and to make it an honorable society and to make a pure society. And this was something, when people say the Arabs are backward, they should really look at the history. What they're doing now, Arabs already had done and dusted all that 1400 years ago. So now Muhammad SAW talks to his friend again, and he says, you know what, I want to go and check what's happening. And again, he goes all the way down, and he says, you know what, I'm just going to rest at the tree, and I'll go, and I'll see what's happening. What happens? He falls asleep. Again, he wakes up with sunlight right on top of his head. And now he gets the message that this is not for me. I'm not going to do it. And he never, when he's grazing the sheep in the night, whatever he doing, he never comes close to that. Because now he understands that Allah wants me to be away from this, and he's away from it. And the last thing I wanted to mention was about the culture of the Arabs, the nude culture of the Arabs. You probably might think, what am I saying? Well, we live in a society today, the Western civilization, which is what they say one of the best civilizations, which is giving freedom to everyone, freedom to mind, freedom to the thought, and freedom to the soul, where you have nude beaches and all these other things, and they cherish that. This is something Quraysh already had it. If they didn't know, they should just read the history. Quraysh actually did nudies while they were doing tawaf. There's no exaggeration. Pick up the Seerah books and read it yourself. They were like that. Why was this culture prevalent? Because Quraysh wanted to make money. So people who were coming from outside lands, what would they do? They would tell them that you have to buy clothes from here. The clothes that you wear from your land are not pure. So in order to do tawaf, you need to be pure. Not everyone was rich. So what would they do? If you didn't have the money, Quraysh's law was you have to do tawaf naked. If you have the money, buy the clothes and wear the clothes and do the tawaf. They were desensitized with nudity. So that was not something big for them. So anyone nude, I mean, they've seen that. There's nothing to do, nothing that really tickled them. Because it was something was part of their society. Women would do tawaf in the night without clothes, and men would do it in the daylight and everything. And one of the construction, and this was their practice. I mean, some of you are gobsmacked. I mean, look, our French copied it from the Arabs. And the French say that the best civilization, we've got that, we've freed the women and everyone. Tell them, you know what, the Arabs were more civilized. If you talk about this as a civilization, they're more civilized than you 1400 years ago. They've done all that. So it's not something new. Shaitan, it comes in different forms and shapes. It's something new. Shaitan has come in many forms and many shapes in many societies and destroyed those societies. We live in a society where you have more influence of shaitan. Yes, there are good people. See, this is what you need to understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He in a place, there's not everyone who is on mischief. You look at, we are talking about Muhammad SAW. He believed in Allah. Everyone in their own household, people did not believe in Allah. You've got another one. Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nawfal, he's another one. Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl is another one. He was on Deen Ibrahimi, which was that he believed in one God as well. He would lean in front, his back on the Kaaba, and he would tell the people that whatever you're doing is evil. Stay away from that. There, at this time, there was another two people who were on Muwahid. The other two people, it was Khadija's cousin, Waraqa ibn Nawfal. Waraqa ibn Nawfal was a Christian. When Rasulullah SAW got the first revelation, she took him to Waraqa. Waraqa was living in that society. He believed in one God. There's another guy who went with Waraqa to find out about the religion. Who was that? It was Usman ibn Harith. These three people are well known that they were living in society and they never worshipped an idol. Well, we are speaking about Usman ibn Affan, well known, never worshipped an idol. Never worshipped. Abu Bakr Abdullah ibn Quhafa, that's his real name, never worshipped an idol. So you've got good people in those societies as well. It's Allah always keeps the good people there to put khair in there. So now, this was a culture of the Arabs, and it was normal to Quraysh as well. They would do that. They would take their clothes off, they would do their work. When Kaaba was being constructed, at that point Rasulullah SAW was carrying these bricks on his back. And if they were hot, because it was a hot day, and so they were making marks on his back. Al-Abbas, his uncle, and if you guys know the seerah, Al-Abbas is only 2 years older than Rasulullah. He's his uncle, but at the same time, they are very close. Even throughout the seerah, you will see that. He becomes a captive in Badr, and after that, when he's coming back to Fatah Makkah, you'll see they were very close throughout. And Al-Abbas was also, he played with Hamza, the like of Hamza as well, radiallahu anhu. Hamza again, about 3 years older to Muhammad SAW, they were friends, even though they had a relationship of uncle and nephew, but they were friends. So now, Al-Abbas says to Muhammad SAW, why don't you take your izar out and put it on your back, and put the bricks on that izar, on that cloth, so you don't get marks on your back. Izar is the lower garment. So Muhammad SAW says, I was just about to loosen it, and as soon as I was about to do it, I fainted, and I fell on the ground. And the next thing when I woke up, I said, where is my izar? Where is my izar? And it was tied around my waist. And after that, I tried to even uncover my lower garment. And this is protection from Allah. So I want to summarize very quickly These are the events that were happening in his life, and many events. One more event very quickly. Naila and Isaf were the two idols. If you, inshallah, when you get time to read the seerah, they were the idols. They were actually two human beings, a man and a woman. So they came from Yemen to do tawaf and to do hajj. At that time, their families were not getting them married. They decided they will do adultery inside the Kaaba. And when they will do it, then their parents have to get them married. While they were about to just begin the action, Allah punished them and made them Muslims. And that was the time of Jurhum, the leaders of that place, because Jurhum is the tribe where Ismail got married. And they were Muwahideen, they believed in one God. And after that, Naila and Isaf and Khuzah took over, they were idols. So he brought idol worship. So what did he do? He put one idol on Safa and the other one on Marwa. And he said, these are the ones you should worship them as well. And people started worshipping them. People would sacrifice in front of these idols. And they would put their blood off whatever sacrifice they do on these idols. So Muhammad SAW, when Zayd ibn Harith was actually doing tawaf, he's not a prophet yet. And this is Zayd ibn Harith as a slave. He made him his adopted son. So he's doing tawaf with him. Every time he go even touch Isaf. And Muhammad SAW got angry. He said, do not touch it. It does not give you anything. And Zayd ibn Harith said, I listened to him, but then I ignored him. Not really. I did not want to ignore him, but I forgot. So in the second round, when I came back around again, and I just was about to touch it, and Muhammad Allah's face turned red, and he said, do not touch it. I told you, they do not benefit you whatsoever. So he was living in that society. If Allah wants to protect you, and I want to finish off with this one thing, we've got some children over here, we've got fathers over here. Remember, there's a saying, the tree which is nurtured well, so the plant which is nurtured well, will become a tree, a strong tree. So we've got these plants over here, our kids. If we nurture them well, and if we water them, and if we give them the right religion, they will nurture and they will become trees, strong trees in our religion. And that's what the life of Rasulullah teaches us. His child was nurtured well by Allah. Allah was the one who was nurturing him. And when he became a prophet, he was ready. Everything. Every event that happened in his life was a miracle, and that was for him to become a good person. He was an orphan. Why? So he could be good to orphans. All these things were happening to him. Everything. So that's why we should pay a lot of attention on the nurturing of our kids. And if we nurture them well, our kids are not going to go anywhere. We have to give them the religion in the best of the forms. Now, inshallah, I'll finish off. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم استغفر الله إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. So inshallah, you guys want to stay, but very quickly about Banu Qurayza. I'm only going to take 4 minutes. Banu Qurayza is the last tribe. This was the Battle of Tabuk. Battle of Tabuk, Battle of Ahzab, and also it's called the Battle of Khandaq, and also it's called in English the Battle of Confederates. So Battle of Confederates, the management's already here. They're about to, with barbecues ready. It's going to take 5 minutes of answering the question. So Battle of Ahzab is where 10,000 people from Banu Ghatfan and also Banu Nadir and all other Jewish tribes. So when Banu Nadir was expelled, they were the ones who financed this battle. So they financed this battle, and they went around. They went to everyone. They wanted to come destroy Muhammad SAW once and for all. This is the 5th year of Hijrah. So what's happened now? 10,000 people have come outside. I'm only going to summarize it. You can read it on your own terms. Salman al-Farsi's, advice really works, because Medina is surrounded by fortresses and mountains, and there's only one uncovered area, and that's what Salman al-Farsi radiallahu anhu, he gives an advice. He says, we Persians, when we fight the Romans, this is our tactics to slow them down. And it worked. The battle never happened. It was there. There were duels that happened, but it really didn't. The bloody battle never happened. Why? Because it was the plan of Allah to give victory, and a dust storm came and scared the disbelievers, and they all packed up, they went away, and Islam survived on that day, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the ummah. So in the back of the battle, Banu Nadir went to Banu Qurayza. Banu Qurayza was in treaty with the Muslims. And so they had signed a treaty that they will not go against the Muslims. They will not fight or assist the Muslims in any battle, but they will not open their land to any traitor that would come, and they will not give the news about the Muslims, whatever the Muslims are doing. But it is said, one of the Banu Nadir man comes and he tries to get in, but Banu Qurayza shows a lot of resistance initially. They say, we're not going to let you in. We know why you've come here. And then he says, may your cowards and you're hiding behind your women. And the Arabs, all these things really work with the Arabs. I mean, you get their honor really, you shake their honor and their mouth. And so they open the door for this person. I can't remember from the top of the head. You can go and look. So this person comes in and he says that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will die. He will not live. Everyone has come to crush him. And if you stand with him, once we get rid of him, we'll come and get you as well. So for you, it's to follow us and to be with us, and no harm will come to you. So Banu Qurayza, they throw the treaty away and they give it to Banu Nadir. And what they do, they open their land for them to come. The guy who comes over there is Abu Jahl's son. I can't remember his name right now. So Abu Jahl's son comes with some people. Why? Because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sends some spies there, and news goes to them that Banu Qurayza will retaliate, and they're not going to be fighting with you. They're not going to give you support. And so in order to do that, Abu Jahl's son, he actually comes, Abu Sufyan sends him in to go and suss out what the information is. Is this information right? So they go to find out, and Banu Qurayza, when he gets there, he sees Muslim armies already there. So Sa'd ibn Mu'adh is already sent over there. So when he looks at that, he goes back to Abu Sufyan and he says that they have already called the Muslims, they're not going to support. What they did, there was one person in Banu Qurayza who helped Muslims. Why? Because he said to Sa'd ibn Mu'adh that I will go and tell each tribe member that they will be fighting against you and they're not going to be supporting you. So what does he do? In the battle, he goes to the Quraysh and he tells them Banu Qurayza will deceive you, goes to Banu Nadir, Banu Ghatfan and all these. This is how he does it. So now everyone is packed up, they're all gone. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is now taking the shield off and he's just getting ready for another day. Jibreel alayhi salam comes and he says, will you take your shield off before you have done justice to Banu Qurayza, what they did to you? So Jibreel comes and he gives that message. So what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam does, and you need to also understand, he does not give the judgment. What does he do? He sends Sa'd ibn Mu'adh to go and deal with Banu Qurayza. Why? Because Sa'd ibn Mu'adh was the man who was the ally in Ansar to the Banu Qurayza, to the Jews. And he was a friend, he was their friend, he was their ally. So he says, you go, and whatever you do, we will be happy with that. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives him full responsibility, and when Sa'd ibn Mu'adh goes, these are the believers. He says, according to Deuteronomy, I can't remember the words, you can actually look it up inshallah. In Deuteronomy, there is Mosaic law for treason. Anyone who is able to fight should be killed. Whoever went against the government. Today, in any country, you look at America, you look at anyone, wherever you have treason, what happens? If someone plots against the country, what do the governments do to them? The government punishes them to death, or they imprison them for life. That's treason. That's what happens in treachery. When you do treachery or treason, this is their punishment. So Mosaic law, which was the Jewish law, which was a law of Banu Qurayza, Sa'd ibn Mu'adh said, we will punish you according to your law. This was not the punishment that was handed by Allah, or not the punishment that was handed by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He gave full authority to Sa'd ibn Mu'adh to actually do the punishment, and that's how the punishment was carried out. All the men who were able to fight, they were killed. And the women and the children were honorably dispatched, and they were allowed to go. And all these, these Western ideologies, they come and they belittle Islam, they bring all these rubbish in, that Muslims were the ones who killed these people and did that, and nothing was happened to the women or to the children. They were allowed to go, and they left the town. And the men, yes, the men were punished. Why? Because they were the ones who did open treachery with the Muslims. They were punished by Sa'd ibn Mu'az, not by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the law which was used to punish them was a Mosaic law, which is found in Old Testament and Deuteronomy. When someone goes, the men who are able to fight, they're the ones who are punished. And again, people who say, to debunk those people who say that women were taken as captives or slaves, or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam raped the women, were to debunk that opinion. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the one who eradicated slavery. He was the one, when he came, he told the Muslims to free the slaves, not to have slaves. Even in war, when our law, Islamic law, allowed to have slaves, he would tell the Sahabas to free them. Why? Don't you want Allah to free you, and on the day of judgment, free these slaves? And that was the practice of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even Safiya, one of his wife, was a Jewish lady. He was a captive. He married her and he freed her. And so it was Ummahatul Mu'mineen. So we need to understand that our religion, there's a lot of people just to get likes and subscribers and all these things online to make their channels work and to make their rhetoric work. They just write all this rubbish. You know, today, if you want to get famous, you criticize. That's it. Open a channel, start criticizing people. You will be famous in months. I'm telling you. Once you start speaking about criticism and all these conspiracy theories, you'll start becoming famous. So inshallah, we'll leave you on that. And this was the incident of Banu Qurayza, and this is what happened to them. And people will say whatever they say. We do not believe, we believe what Allah says and what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. And these incidents are mentioned in the hadith, in the books of hadith as well. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفر الله إنه غفور رحيم.